David Hamburger, and in this lesson we're going to look at how to improve your blues playing by accenting the offbeats. Now what I'm doing right now is playing a groove in A, so I've got my thumb playing steady bass on the 5th string, playing the root of the A chord. Just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the offbeats are what come in between all the downbeats, or all the strong beats. The 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the strong beats or the downbeats. And then the ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The ands are the offbeats. So I'm using my index and my middle finger to play the 4th and 3rd string. I'm holding down an A bar chord, or like sort of a partial bar with my index finger, from the 4th string on up to the 1st string. Now the thing is, what's going on with the picking hand is that we're basically adding in the 5th and the root of the A chord on all of the ands. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when you put that together with the thumb, you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But we're also putting some emphasis on the ands by doing damping, or cutting off the sound of the offbeats using the left hand, and relaxing the grip after you pick the notes. So there's a couple different ways you can make that happen. It's sort of a combination of relaxing your grip with the left hand and also letting your index finger and middle finger come in to touch the strings to get ready to pick them again. So you could do it all with the right hand. But that kind of takes a lot of thought, and if you can get this also takes a fair amount of thought, but once you get it, it feels, at least to me, a little more intuitive. And all that you're doing is relaxing your grip so that after you pick, you stop pressing down the strings to the fretboard, but you keep your finger on the strings. So it's just the sound of this, like when the fingers are resting on the strings, but you're not actually pushing them down to make notes. So you're going to play the bass, and then your fingers, and then relax so that the notes get cut off. And when you do it at tempo, it makes this kind of percussive sound out of the offbeats. So if you're playing 2 measures in a row, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And. So that's the basic idea. But then you create additional emphasis by keeping this chord held down every other time on the and of 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Oh, my mistake. It's not every other time. It's every time. So every measure on the end of 4, you're going to keep this sustained as it holds over into the next downbeat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you're holding it down all the way through to the and of 1 in each measure. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And it seems like very sort of, dorky and detail oriented, but that's the sound that you hear when you hear this kind of groove. It's that sustain and that push on the end of 4 that really gives it its momentum. Especially if you pick that and of 4 a little harder. So that's the basic groove, and then into that we can start to put some of these bass notes. So So what I'm doing is on beat 4, I'm either going up to the flat 3rd, C, at the 3rd fret of the 5th string, or I'm going down to the flat 7, the G, the 3rd fret on the low string. So you can isolate just that bass try to put that together with the basic groove. And so the trick, of course, is putting together that new bass note on the and of 4, followed by that sustained chord. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So the sustain always follows the new bass note. Then you can add in a hammer-on from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret on the 5th string, right? From the flat 3rd to the major 3rd, which creates a triplet feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and between the first 2 notes here, and then the answer with the chord. 4 and same thing will work down here as you're climbing up from flat 7 chromatically back up to the root. So it's another triplet. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so now we have all of that. We've got if we want to start adding in some single note licks, the first step is to work out a way to just play a more pared down version of that offbeat groove by using just the root on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So same idea, and we're not worrying about that sort of that rhythmic push so much, or the sustain. We're just playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so there's that. And then if we want to put something on top, just sort of a little A7 lick basically. So I'm playing the flat 7 and the 6 of the A chord. And we could also go down. That creates a little call and response. Landing on the flat 7 and then landing on the 5th. Now if we put that together with the offbeat where we're just playing octaves here, the root and then the octave, we get this. Basically maintaining this groove, and then we're filling in that lick around it. So anytime the melody is on the downbeat, anytime we have a pinch, you don't end up hearing this note, but it's kind of this audio illusion where you think you're hearing this the whole time, but you're only hearing it whenever the downbeat is available for this note right here. So here you don't have it. And you could fill in the end of the end of the bar, like beats 3 and 4, the ands of 3 and 4. If you're not playing any melody, you could come back in with the bigger chord. So on the and of 3 and the and of 4. So you'd have right, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you could hold down the whole chord while you're doing that lick, and you'd still have that note on the 3rd on the third string. And have the fourth string held down by the tip of your index finger in the left hand, so that you could do that. So now we've got the groove and we've got these single note licks. We can put those together to play that example that I opened with. Right, and then we've got, and then we can go into the lick. That's a little tricky because you've got to take your hand off to get that open E string. And then come back in. And you might even want to put in one of those bass moves. Or just, one of the ones that isn't a triplet. So if you put all that together, you could play through the groove a couple times, you could drop in a couple of those single note licks, and then you can come back and play the groove like this. So that's a way to add that offbeat groove into your playing. It obviously comes from basically John Lee Hooker and that whole kind of groove and boogie style, where you're just sitting on a chord and passing around the variations between the groove and the licks and all of that. But the foundation of it is that whole idea of, keeping the steady bass going and getting that emphasis on the offbeats, especially on the and of 4. So hope you have fun working on that. If you'd like more ideas about groove, also about improvisation and arranging and repertoire, you can go to my website, fretboardconfidential.com. I've got more lessons over there and more information about what I'm doing. So I hope you enjoy this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.